What's up, world? This is 3X again, and this is another edition of CAW University. This particular tutorial is one that's off of a special request by the member from the CAWS.ws forums. That's his actual username, with a question mark. And he was actually requesting a top to be drawn out for creation, one that was worn specifically by Jeff Hardy around 2002, around the time of his mini feud, you could say, with The Undertaker, which was basically a fishnet top that had buckles and straps on the shoulders and the sleeves, which is pretty cool looking, I have to say. He also supplied a link to the YouTube videos to show the specific top in action, you could say. I'll post that link in the description of this video just to give you an idea of how it looks like in real life compared to how it will look like on a CAW here on WWE 12, excuse me. The first thing I'll show you off here is the fishnet pattern itself. Now this is one I had actually made before this tutorial, to be exact, for Sin Callahan, one of my female CAWs. And for females, essential almost is a fishnet pattern to be made, because it's a pretty commonly used bit of attire for women in wrestling. Fishnets in form of stockings or on the arms, and also as tops. It's not just something a guy would wear, it's pretty unisex to be exact. And as you can see here, what it is that I'm showing you is the exact size of the pixel you should use with the pencil tool that you should be using to make this particular pattern. Unfortunately, there's no getting around it. You have to actually do this box by box and create kind of a checkerboard pattern to create the fishnet design itself, which is kind of time consuming, but there is a shortcut that you can use, which is what I used to make it. That being, you start out maybe by making three blocks base. So you would start here, then make one here, and then here, and keep working those three spaces all the way down to the very bottom of the work area. Then after you do that, what you would do is save the piece, and then you open up a blank logo design area, import that piece in to the design area. Let me delete this here because I'm going to use that for something else anyway. You would import it into an empty space and then repeat importing it again and again and again, piece by piece. I'll give you a slight example here, even though it's all the way done. But basically, you would take the pattern that you made, and since it would be starting off on the left, you would move it towards the right, basically, and double up that area, and keep on doing it until you have half of the entire work area done. And then you would just basically use the mirror tool to finish off the job. If there is a bit of a wider space towards the middle because of the mirroring, you would just basically have to create the same blocks in that middle area and double up from there without using the mirror tool, and continue to basically import more of these smaller checkerboard designs until you fill up the entire area with the checkerboard. And then the end result would be the fishnet pattern here. Like I said, it's kind of time consuming, but what can you do? It would be nice if guys made these type of resources available on Community Creations. I personally would do it myself, if not for the fact that Community Creations, as you all probably know by now, sucks, even after the patch. So, something to look forward to for WWE 13, hopefully. I plan on doing is making basic resources of paint tools like the fishnet and like this lacing here, which can be used for leggings on a female, or if you wanted to try to make those long Chuck Taylor All-Stars that AJ Lee wears for CAWS. This one here is pretty useful, I must say, but that's another topic. So that's the fishnet part there. What we're going to make in real time here is the buckle, and luckily it's a pretty simple design to make, so it's not going to take a whole lot of time for you to do. All it is basically is lines and shapes being put together to create an effect. So you start with your two lines there, use your paint tool, paint bucket tool I should say, and fill it all in with black. Then you're going to change the color to white, or silver if you will, to create the buckles and the studs here. We're going to bump that to 175. And how you want the buckle to look like is completely up to you. You can make it a square buckle, or you can make it a circle buckle, as long as it fits within the shape. Use the thick circle pattern tool, and then it's just a matter of sizing it correctly, which is probably going to wind up being trial and error, because it's always been a little tricky for me to get the circles to position exactly where it is that I want them to, but we got it good there. Just make sure you center it using the reverse tool, the mirror tool I should say, and then from there, if you wanted to make it thicker, you could zoom in with the line tool and just kind of go around it, creating a second thicker line to establish the fact that it is in fact a thick metal buckle, metallic. Do one half, use the mirror tool to complete the work, and then use the line tool to create the actual, I guess you could call, buckle area, the part that would actually kind of strap in. I think it would be better if we do it horizontally than vertically. Paint tool to fill that in, and that would be the buckle half. Actually, I probably should have done that last, because I'm going to have to do some deleting after I finish off this part of the design, which is the studs that would appear on the edges of the strap. Really simple, just 3 small circles, and you fill those in to do one side, and then use the mirror tool to complete the other side. And as you can see, it filled in the center of the buckle area, but we'll fix that by going back in to the pencil tool, put black back into color, and then just basically black out the left side, right side I should say, of the design to create the buckle effect again. And that's pretty much it. That's The secret behind the paint tool there, ladies and gentlemen, you can use basic shapes and basic designs to create parts and pieces to create articles of clothing. That's something I kind of demonstrated in the last paint tool tutorial that I had made with the female top, but it's all basically the same idea, and it's just a matter of putting it all together, which we will be putting together in the next part of this tutorial in a couple of seconds. And so we have random nameless default CAW here, already pre-blur bypassed because of the patch. Yes, I did download the patch finally, but before I did, I made sure to create 3 blank CAW templates using the blur bypass, one for male I should say, and 2 for female with the boob and crotch blurs in place for future creations. So I might actually be uploading stuff if the damn servers are forgiving enough to let that happen, but that's another story. Anyway, so we go in and we go to the tattoo area, custom logo designs and torsos, because this is going to be the top, so there's no use to try to put it on a top. We enter it in and stretch it out to size. Now it might actually wind up looking a little more checkered if you blow it up more, so for that reason you're probably going to wind up doing multiple entries, if you will, of this particular paint tool to create the full top. It's going to take a couple of layers, but assuming you're on 360, that's not too much. And most certainly for the next game, WWE 13, it's universally not going to be a problem anymore, as both versions will finally have 64 layers pop. About freaking time, personally, but you know, that's just me ranting on THQ. We'll save that for another video, why don't we? Anyway, so we're basically putting together the top here using the same paint tool design, just repeat it over and over. We'll put 2 on the front, make sure it looks decent. Then we'll put 2 on the back, or as many on the back as you need to create a full-fledged top, because you want to get it to cover the entire torso region without having any holes or spots. So you can pretty much see how it is that I'm placing it here. And again, if it doesn't look like fishnet blown up when you get closer, you know, that's just your own eyes. When you're playing in game, it will in fact look like a fishnet pattern or a fishnet top. And then also keep in mind that this is black that I'm using here. You can also make your fishnets in different colors, whites or blues or reds. If you overlap them, you can't really see it past the arm, but if you overlap them, you can create kind of a seam, so to speak, on the sides. Kind of a cool effect. And just make sure you size it correctly so that the fishnets don't overlap on the fronts. And that's the top. Then we work on the arms. Basically stretch the whole thing out around the entire arm area. Or if you want to, you can do the same thing like you did with the top and basically split in half for the inner and outer areas of the arm if you don't want it to look too blocky as you stretch it out. Because as you can see here, with me stretching it out all the way to the arm, the pattern kind of outstretches a little too much to where it is a bit more noticeable than if you were to just do it halfway. So just do it halfway, pretty much. Start with one, and then repeat the process for the other half. Size it, position it, stretch it out. Forgot to stretch it out to the entire arm. And you can pretty much see that the effect is exactly how it is that we want it to look. And then after that we throw in the buckles. I'll finish that other part of the right arm later. And what we do for the left arm is the same thing that we did on the right arm. Stretch the pattern out to fit the entire arm's length. And half of the width. Position it. Set it. And repeat it for the other half of the sleeve. Resize here again. Make sure you're creating a complete pattern. And that's the first part right there. We have ourselves our top made. Let me just go in and stretch out that first sleeve. You can see it's all tattoos. It's all directly on the skin. This is the one in question that needs to be stretched out to the length, so we'll go ahead and do that. You can use the armbands there to actually serve as the sleeves, or should I say the end of the sleeves themselves. And just simply recolor them to a solid black or whatever color it is that you made the fishnet pattern into. In our case, it will be solid black. And you'll soon see it all come together once I put the buckles in. And whoops, gotta stretch out that over sleeve. It's very good to always go back in and double check to make sure that you're doing things correctly, that you're positioning things correctly, because stretching it out on one side will sometimes not be the same on the other side, because for some strange reason when you stretch them out, things don't usually center themselves. So it's a bit of a trial and error as far as resizing goes. Part of the process, kids. There we go. Now that's done. Now we can go back into the buckles. Let's start with the arms. From the arm pads, our wristbands, I should say. We'll go back in. We'll pick our buckle that we had made and place it on the right side. Now you have your choice here. You can make it stretch out again, or you can go half and half. What I'm gonna do is the half and half. So we'll put one on the outer arm, then we'll put one on the inner arm and create a strap with two buckles and all the studs surrounding it, which I think would look a lot cooler than if we were to say stretch the whole thing around the arm, because then that would make everything look a little too big. Resize it a little bit, make sure everything's positioned. Once again, a little extra work, but it's that extra work that pays off. All about the little details, which is the key to elite core making. It's all in the details. It's all those little things that you probably don't pay too much attention to that make all the difference in your CAWS. Very important. So we're going to do the same thing on the left side. Just use your eyes to measure out the positioning from one arm to the other. You can see I got it pretty close here. Stretch it out completely so that it wraps around that inner half or outer half of the arm, like so. Then we'll repeat again. And that will finish the arms out. Then we'll throw two on the shoulders, and that'll be that. Positioned. Resize properly. Make sure everything syncs up. And if it's a little off, then oh well, that's fine. Because to the naked eye, it's going to look exactly how you want it to look like anyway. You don't have to be that detailed. So that's the sleeves. All done. And we'll go back into tattoos and apply those same buckles to the shoulders. How we do that: torso, and flip the design vertical. Bear in mind it's not going to sit on the shoulders directly. You're going to have to do another half and half job. That's just because the way that the CAW model itself is, I guess you could say, situated as far as its skin goes. You'll have to do some repositioning. Basically just make it diagonal like you see here, and a decent size to where you can have it overlap from the front half of the body to the back half of the body. But you're already seeing that this is coming out pretty cool. Same thing for the back. Reposition, angle, make sure it hits the shoulder area perfectly, and just kind of slim it down a little bit. Bring it up. You want to get it to where the buckles will meet each other. to create one single buckle itself. You might need to do a little bit more resizing, trial and error, which is a little trickier when you're talking about using it at an angle, because then the controls get a little funky, but you can see that the effect is possible right there to create a shoulder. And you can apply that same technique there for other things that you wanted to maybe put on a CAWS shoulder, like tattoos or shoulder pads for maybe lucha style CAW, maybe an Ultimo Dragon type CAW that might have that as part of his or her costume. And so we do the same thing to the other half that we did to this half, and everything is already looking extremely good. No pun intended, because you know, extreme, Jeff Hardy, that type of thing. Yeah, I know, I'm trying to be funny here. Not doing too well, but yeah, whatever. Shut your faces. Resize again, position so that we create a buckle effect. Maybe shrink it down a little bit more here. If it's a little off, whatever, that's perfectly fine. And that's that right there. Let's see how many layers we used here for this particular top. 2 paint tools, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14 layers basically to create this top, which if you're on a 360 is a very, very small amount. But if you're on the PlayStation 3, it's quite the sacrifice. But you can still make something out of it with the bottoms and such like that. So maybe not that much of a sacrifice, but again, once WWE 13 rolls around, everybody will finally be on an even keel. So 14 or 16 layers out of 64 is not too big a price to pay. But that pretty much shows you how to pull this particular top off. Again, just 2 paint tools is all you need, and then just a matter of positioning the paint tools on the body accordingly to create the effect that you want to create. And it will look extremely well in game, especially from a distance that's a lot farther than the CAW mode will show. Kind of zoomed it out here as far as possible to give you an idea of how it would look like from a distance with the in-game cameras. It looks good. It will definitely come out well on any CAW. So that's going to complete this CAW University tutorial. Hope that definitely helped you out there, Mr. Huh. I know you were probably waiting for somebody to finally help you out on that, so here you go. Get out there, get to creating, and make something happen out of this, people. That's what I'm doing it for. Anyway, that'll do it for this tutorial. I'm 3X, and once again, class is dismissed.